All right. All right. This episode, the goal is to um, show you guys what does it mean to make a reverse prompt. This is kind of like how to say a little term, a vocabulary term we came up over here on the overside on this other side over here on for ChatGPT to make things easy. Um, it's kind of a way that you it's a vocabulary term that like we're saying over here that we made up that that changes the way you what's it called you come to you approach the problem of learning programming in ChatGPT. All right, so in the last video, we were um, we were learning um, we were learning this program over here, right? So in this program, um, we were trying to figure out, um, and we started speaking. Um, how would you possibly understand to build a program like this, right? So we said that we had a prompt, right? Um, in ChatGPT that we asked to ChatGPT that was like, well, how would you possibly write a program like this, right? And not and how would you understand a program like this? And in a way that once like in a way that like how many projects would you have to do in order that after you would do those projects, by default you would be able to already understand, you would have enough knowledge that you have gained by doing those projects, that you would already be able to understand this project, you know. So you're not, the goal is not to come to not to try to figure out what how to do all this stuff. The goal is to gain experience through the track, and once you do the track, by default you would have already come to a level, you become already a a person already who will be able to understand this code very easily, because it's just by default of all the stuff you've already done, that would have just been, it would just be by default you would understand it. Okay, so it gave us this response. And so today we're gonna go about understanding the understanding a little bit of the last code we were talking about. All right, so we were talking about that, um, to understand this project, right? We would have to we 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 would have to do all the we have to do all these, what's it called, projects over here. So excuse me. So so first we'd have to do project add a box, then style the box with the position, absolute, and set, and the and set style dot left top manually. Project 3 log mouse position and on click. Then project 4 place a box exactly where you click. All these projects, and you see they get more complicated as they get become complicated, and as the time goes by and we actually learn all these, by default, once we would get to the doing all the projects, by default we would understand this um, complex project which has a lot of stuff in here. All right, so and this is this project over here. Now, in the last video, we were discussing a lot of stuff, and it took a long time kind of to do it. However, at the end of the video, we actually did. We finished the first project, which is which is to which is to add a box with a button. So we actually made a super simple app um that does exactly this. Like, um if you go here, for example, um let's see how to get there. All right, so this is our project over here, and we made a simple app. See, you click the button, adds the box. So we added the basic functionality. So we actually did the first project, and now our goal is to finish the second project. However, what we're gonna do is actually try to opposite. We're gonna actually take this project that we did, project one, and we're gonna try to and we're going to actually reverse prompt this again. Now, I don't really know how else you would call this. So everybody else has what's it called? Um has um has a suggestion, you know, feel free to write it down in the comments below. Now, I told you guys before that, if you guys hear if you guys if you guys hear something that you don't think is, or you um um that you hear that might sound inaccurate or something like that, please write it down in the description. um Write it down, because we're you guys are listening to you guys listen to a person over here that's also learning, and we're all trying to get better. So it would be much easier, for the future, and to please write down um, your 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 perspective, because this will help us all grow, and will help us all become better. So so far, um, from this situation here, right? Uh, we took um, we took all this we took this code, and what we're gonna do is like we said, we're gonna do this reverse prompt right now. All right, so okay, so so um so let's see. Okay, so this is how you do it. All right, so you go a um so what what would be the projects that when you would do them, by doing them uh by by doing them automatically, by doing them you would by default understand this project code over here. Hey, so what would be the kind of um It's a word for dumb down. Um, what would be a kind of okay, basic, b- basic, super beginner projects that um. Hey, so what would be the kind of basic super beginner projects that um when you would do them by doing them automatically by doing them you would by default uh, you would you would by default understand this bigger project code over here. Okay. So, okay, great question. The code you posted involves a few fundamental concepts and okay, so this is like the track. Great question. You code the code you posted involves a few fundamental concepts from HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to automatically understand the bigger picture by doing um, simpler ones. You can follow a sequence of beginner level mini projects. All right. Here that isolate and teach one or more key ideas. Here, okay. So, core concept in your code, HTML, um, project structure, HTML structure, button div. Okay, da da da. Okay, beginner projects to build first. Goal, learn DOM section, event handling, what to do. Um, okay, so these are all the projects that once we would do them, it would what's it called? Um, we would by default understand this code over here. All right, so we're gonna take this path today, with God's help. Um, so what we're gonna do is what we're gonna do is start by learning these stuff. Okay. Um, projects. All right. So get element by ID, enter text. You clicked me. Um, mm, that's interesting. Um, changes the text. All right. So we're gonna try to figure out this thing. The click to change the text. Goal: learn DOM selection and event handling. Um, so we're gonna do what to call the first project. All right. So this guy we're gonna call hello button. Um, okay, we're gonna call it event handler. Handler. Okay, HTML. Okay. All right. So event handler. All right. So okay. So we're gonna like talk about basic elements here, right? Now it's super cool because right um these are kind of basic concepts. Um And our goal is just to do these things, because once we do them by default, we're going to be able to understand the harder code, right? Which is our goal, right? So um let's even go a little, let's actually go let's actually kind of, what's it called, try to make it even more simpler. um how many how many projects, and what would be the projects that by doing them you would by default understand this code over here though. All right. To fully understand this small project, you only need 3 or 4 beginner, ultra beginner projects. So, remember, you guys, our goal, our goal is to get to understanding the bigger code. However, we are trying to go through the level of doing these, how to say, projects, and by doing these projects, we're gonna be able to understand the the harder code. All right, so let's kind of try to recap over here. This is our uh, this is our kind of prompt, right? So we did this with the prompt before, right? So we had this guy over here. Um, we got this project over here back in the day that adds boxes once you click it, right? This is the deep what's it called, situation over here. This is the project. No, wait, sorry, this is not. This is the, it's called one save. Okay, it's called one test. Okay, so this is supposed to be the one. All right, let's see, one test. Yeah, this is the project, right? We asked ChatGPT, how many, what would be the projects, by doing them you would understand them. But after you understand these small super duper easy projects, what would you would by default, what would be the projects that by default, after understanding these small projects, you would by default understand this bigger project, right? So this is the smaller projects it gave us. Da, 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 da. All right, so now we started doing the first project. We started to do the add a box project, and we wrote it over here, super basic. And now we want to we want to like make it even more simpler. So we asked ChatGPT what would be the projects to understand even this simple project. You know, what projects would you have to do that by doing them you would by default understand this project over here. So, and this is the what's it called, response it gave us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a comment. This is how you add a comment in HTML. And this is the first project it gave us, is to learn DOM selection, right? Event handling. So then we took it kind of even, we took it even farther over here. So for these basic projects, we want to make it super duper simple today. So we want to understand the we want to understand the first project of the sequence of projects that that under under that by doing these projects you would understand the big project, right? So this is just now now it gave us a sequence of projects that would understand the first project of the sequence of projects that by doing those projects you would understand the big project. All right. So hopefully you guys understand. Um, it's pretty cool. Um, so um, so these sequence of projects, by doing them, we will understand the first project of the sequence of projects. That by doing them, you would understand the big project, which is this, which is the super duper simple project. Um, yeah, that sounds right. Um, all right, hold up. Da 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 da. Okay, so just not to get lost in the projects, um, we're trying to understand, um, rename. Okay, one event handler. This is the projects we did. So this is the project from the list of projects. Yeah. So this is the list of projects that by doing them we will understand the big project. Okay, so let's rename these so we can understand them. Big. This is big. Um, I'm gonna do 4 big. Uh, click in the create box. Rename to. Alright, so we're gonna give this guy. I'm gonna put this in the archive. Oops. Okay. Archive.html. So this guy is not really relevant. Um, all right, so we're gonna put archive and archive.html. It's not really needed. You don't really need this. Um, so we got one event handler. This is the project we're working on. Um, so this is this is first one sequence. So then we got project one. Um, First project one sequence. Let's make this a text. Okay. Oh man. All right. So um, yeah, it was just cooler with the green. All right. All right, let's just keep it HTML. Um. All right. So event handler. Okay. Second sequence. Okay. So we got technically we got 3 sequences over here. that we gotta. You can call first project. Right here. How many projects? Okay, so this is you said. All right, so we got three sequences. First sequence, um, three sequence dot. Oh, okay. So all right, this kind of looks cool. All right. All right. So we're gonna, I guess we'll use the what's it called? We'll use this kind of because it's called syntax highlighting. Um, just gonna copy and we're gonna just copy stuff from here. All right. We're not gonna use this. We're not gonna save this. We're like into the browser. We're just gonna what's it called? Um, keep this like this for now. All right. So, but just to kind of understand, um, we got a couple sequences here. Um, we have first projects, first sequence. Um, yeah, we got the second sequence. So we'll call this guy second sequence HTML. First sequence, second sequence, third sequence. Um, first project. So we're gonna do one sequence. All right, so we're gonna do one sequence. First project goes into the first sequence because this is the first project of the first sequence. All right, so we got total. We have three sequences. All right. Um. So first sequence, it is the first sequence is what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand the big project. The big project, like we said, um, it does this functionality, right? This is the fourth big project. Oops. Okay, so we renamed it for big. Okay, so this is for. It's called for big. Um, just because over here on this computer we kind of make it like how to say, we put the numbers specifically just to see it one by one, right? It's just to, right, if you were to do like um rename this, I think if you do like two, right, it would pop up over here and then it goes alphabetically, right? So we don't want that. We want it to be at the bottom just so you guys can see. All right, so all right, so this is for big, right? This is the code. This is the ultimate code we're trying to get to. So to recap, just again, after the organization stuff, this is the code. We want to learn this functionality, right? But we asked ChatGPT. We said, ChatGPT, listen, what projects would you have to do that by doing them by default you would understand this project over here? And so it said, all right, um, first sequence, right? This is the response he gave us. Um, let's see. Um, all right, so it's not making it, not coloring it, not coloring it. All right, whatever. These what's it called? This is the project it gave us. Projects that it gave us. So it says, listen, uh, you guys. It says, listen. Once you do project one, you add a box. Project two, style box with position. Project three, log a mouse position on click. Project four, you place a box exactly where you click it. Project 5, center the box and the cursor, da da da. You do this, all these projects, you understand how all these work. By default, you're going to understand this big project over here. Okay? All right. So it makes sense. Now, I actually, I'll tell you guys, I did this. I already did this. I did all these, and you guys, you have to understand it works. This project, this way of understanding works, and it's really cool. So that's why we're trying to show it over to you guys over here right now, because once you do these little projects, actually it helps you learn the bigger ones. So, and I suggest you guys to actually do the same. Make some videos probably, or find a friend that you can sit them down and actually push them to, what's it called, to learn these projects, because once they learn them by default, they're gonna learn the more complex ones. So okay, we made three sequences though. So we this is our first sequence for the big project. Now we said, okay, we did a video where we made the first project. So now we want to, now what we did was we asked ChatGPT in this video, okay, make us some more projects, that by doing these projects we would understand the project that we actually did in the first sequence. This project, we did this project. Now, to make it even more simpler, so maybe if you don't understand, you didn't understand the first video or whatever, right? What we did was, today we made a second sequence, and we said, listen, so this is what we're trying to call over here the reverse prompt, right? To prompt the chat GPT, prompt the machine to to give us a track that by doing it we would by default understand what we're trying to understand. Okay, and so um then we said to we it gave us this first project over here, um and then we said a third sequence, and we said, okay, listen, we want to do this first project. However, give us another sequence of projects that by doing those projects, we would understand this project over here, this first project, this one over here. All right, so total, we have three sequences. We have three tracks, right? We're just calling sequences over here. Sequence. Okay, and then three sequence. All right. All right. So total of three sequences. Um, and we're gonna put the project over here. So this sequence. So we're working on these. Okay. All right. You said, so. We pasted this piece of code. Um, how many projects would, and what would be the projects that by doing them you would, right, by default understand the code over here though. And so So right now, um, we just have to kind of, how to say, do these projects, and with God's help, after we finish them, we'll understand the higher projects. So we're all, hopefully, you guys were all on the same page of what we're trying to do over here. Um, text. So we're right now just over here. We're trying to figure out this piece of code over here. So we're gonna add a project soon. Okay, so paragraph ID text equals hello. Hello, you put hello in there. Button on click. Um, okay. To fully understand this small project, so this is the project we're trying to understand. It's just this piece of code. Um, this small project, right? So it copied. To fully understand this small project, right? And then it said like this: you only need three ultra beginner projects, right? Each introducing a core idea. Here's the breakdown. Core concept in this code. What this code does, um, this P ID text, right, identifies the paragraph by ID. So JavaScript can find it. Identifies the paragraph by ID, so JavaScript can find it. Okay, right. Adds an event. Okay, so this is what it does. And this is the basic project. So this is the first project we're actually gonna do. Project one: basic HTML tags. Okay, learn what basic tags like p, button, and ID mean. All right. So before in our first video we did class. So now it's actually we're gonna talk about it's wanting to get us to do ID, which is really interesting. It's a different way of, excuse me, targeting targeting the element. All right, so um, goal: learn what HTML elements are and what the ID attribute is. All right. Um, all right. So this is super simple. Um, let's do this. Um, so we know where to start. Um, all right. So this is a paragraph. This is a button. Project one: basic HTML tags. All right. So since we're in the third sequence, we're gonna go one project HTML. By the way, this is how we, what's it called, name our projects over here. Um, because um, it makes things easier for um, for for later on moving things up and down if you need to move them. All right, so this is what I told you guys. You know, over here on this side, we don't really know why we do the doc type HTML. Um, so if you know, write it down in the comments or whatever. But this everybody does this. You know, that's what they say. You write it down. You write down this HTML thing because it helps the render. There's one video one guy was saying it like how to say it brings the render, what's it called, to the to do a certain way. Maybe one day we'll do a what's it called, a beginner projects, that by doing those projects we will understand this. Um, whatever. We'll do this reverse prompt for the doc type. However, right now, we're just keeping it here because the standard is when you know what they say, at least, is that we gotta put this guy over here. So um so we're gonna do body script body head. So um this is the basic what's it called? What is it called? What is this thing called? Template of the HTML. Now, in our first video, we talked about that there are things that you write in a code that will change the code visually, and there are things in the when you write them, it changes things invisibly. Invisibly, it changes things. So far, the way I understand it is this is all changing the invisible side of the code. Nothing really is added here. It's just changing the the way it is in the invisible side. We can't really see it. Um, it's just setting properties over there in the invisible side, probably so to say. And now we got once we write stuff in here, when we write them in here in a certain way in the pattern it's written in, right? The main patterns are for this thing, for a script. Every element should have its closure, right? So for example, we have this thing. I don't know why this thing. I don't know why this thing doesn't have a closure. Right? Some things I think they're one one type. They have a close open bracket, close bracket, and they don't close. Like there's a couple elements that I believe they do this. So you guys will see um later on with God's help. So we got HTML now. HTML, we you see this one has a start and a finish, right? And once you write it in a certain pattern, you will see it visually. However, just this template over here is kind of just still the invisible side is just how to say being set certain stuff on the invisible side. So it's the those are just the main concepts. So what we're trying to do though is we're trying to just make basic tag. All right. So our goal right here, remember, we're trying to run down these sequences. By doing the sequences, we'll understand the higher level project. And our first project from all the projects, um, and all the sequences, is to first understand this. So this is super simple. Um, as you see, HTML has these open and closed uh, element. How to say? Um, has these open and closed element brackets. One sequence 3. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the body. So we're literally just copying, even though even though we could write it down from memory. Um, you know, P A what's up? Um, okay, fine. So A what's up? So like we said, this changes the visual side of things. Um, home, login, documents. So this is JS mastery. Our goal is eventually to understand the big project, right? So that's why it's called JS. Um, uh, so okay, sequence. This is project 1 of sequence 3. Okay, there you go. Okay, you see, so this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Um, there's certain stuff that when you put them in there and you change them, um, it changes the visual side of things, right? So if we what's it called? If we don't if we don't what's it called? Write anything here, this is still just changing the invisible side of things, right? So it's kind of like preparing the so I personally I don't know, and like we don't know over here the reason, at least just me. I don't know what's it called, the deep side of things, like because you really could go so deep into go, and you could really go crazy, honestly, with learning how this thing works. This thing is called a browser, right? This is called a browser, and this is a program. It runs on a deeper level code. Um, right. So I kind of have like a way. Maybe I could try to understand, try to show you how crazy you could go. So there's like this me- mechanical um calculator. All right, so yeah, look at this. Um, so yeah, look at this. You got these old machines over here, right? That they would literally that they would they would you would like twist them and stuff like that, and it would give you the calculation, whatever. And pretty much these things later on became like computers. These guys, they started making um like breadboard calculator. What's that thing? Yeah, look at this. That thing later on became like this, pretty much, and like you add it. You're then they're able. People were able to like add numbers and stuff like that, and you could like set these little colorful things to be like numbers and stuff like that. Whatever. You could store energy and stuff onto this device. That thing later on became CPU, right? That thing became super small because they did like this. It's this crazy concept called like. Anyway, this whole thing, it advanced so much, but you could really go crazy just trying to figure out how this thing renders down. Um, that's why don't don't try to go crazy. Um, that's why we're just saying that there's like an invisible side to the computer. There is some cool history behind it. That's why we brought up this calculator back in the day. Um, because people back in the day, we all had accountants and stuff like that. We had people who were doing things. Um, it just the, there's a bunch of stuff in history eventually that just called for advances in the technology, right? Eventually, this came over to the electronical side. So it's pretty cool, honestly. Some of this stuff is cool. Then there's the internet. They started changing, sending signals or whatever, trying to control these machines from different locations, stuff like that. There's a whole history of how it came. Um, so I'm trying to understand this also, to be honest. So, however, you guys gotta understand. There's a story of a guy, and this is I heard this from Rav Reuven, Yaron Reuven, or Rav Reuven online. Really good stuff. Um, he said a very interesting story. He said one guy wanted to become a tailor one time, right? There's a story, and the guy, so the rabbi asked him like, okay, what you want to become a tailor? Um, all right. So he said, become a tailor. Go learn how to become a tailor. So the guy says, okay. So now a bunch of years go by, like 10 years or something, and the rabbi sees the student or whatever. The rabbi sees the guy, and so he says to him, "No, did you become a tailor?" And the guy says, "No." And so he said, "What happened?" Says the guy said, "Well, listen. In order to become a tailor, he said he started to go learn about the needle. Once he became the needle, he said, well, you gotta learn where the needle came from. So he started to learn where the needle came from. Then he said because he started to learn where the needle comes from, he started to learn where the mountain comes from. Then he said from the mountain comes from, he has to learn about the mountain. The mountain says, where the mountain come from? Oh, it came from from the air or whatever. And oh, so you have to learn from the air. Oh, the air. Where does the air come from? Oh, it comes from the water. Oh, the water comes from the soil. The soil comes from the fire. Right, from the fire comes from the air. The guy goes whatever through such a long all these different what's it called things. This guy comes from this one from that. At the end of the day, he spent 10 years trying to just learn about the needle, and then he didn't learn anything, right? So the whole point of the story is, you guys, through learning HTML, we could learn where the tags, how you get the tags. Then we could go and learn how the tags come from the electricity or whatever. The electricity comes from the uh, from the um, from the electrical companies. The electrical companies, they come from the solar panels. The solar panels, they come from the light. The light that comes from the soil. The soil comes from the rock. The rock comes from the fire. The fire comes from the water. Water comes from the earth or whatever. You know, and we will never get anywhere, right? And you know, we're not trying to learn. It's not. This is not a what's it called? This is not a class on you know. It's not a philosophy class, right? Even though you know, it's not a class on like theory or whatever. This is super practical um, philosophy, right? What is that? They say it means the wisdom, love of wisdom, right? But we're not trying to get into that, you know. Even though what's it called? Um, and the my friend, he told me like this. He told me Rabbi Nachman said, just not don't even get into philosophy, because it, because honestly, it's a way it's a really waste of time sometimes. It's like, and this is how I understand what he said. Like we can't dive into these super deep concepts sometimes, whatever. It's such a waste of time, and it totally takes away from what we gotta do. The essence is action. We gotta do action, and once we do the action, we'll understand what we're trying to do. All right, so the whole point is that, without getting too deep, there are, what's it called, p tags. There are things that you change, and it changes things in the invisible side, and once you add stuff, uh, it changes stuff in the, what's it called, visual side. All right, so let's see. Uh, so uh, all right, so um, one project. All right, so see, this is our browser, like like we were saying earlier. Without getting into how all the like inner secrets or whatever, we're just um, wanting to pass down pass down pass down pass down words, and make things change, right? So okay, this is what we said, is we said it like this, to change the, what's it called, um, to change the to change the visual side. So we add these two things. We're still in changing the visual side right here. So it's hi, uh, what's up. So that's gonna change the visual side right here. So that pops up. Pretty boss. Um, because you guys, this is manipulating the, what's it called, the box. All right. So All right, we got the basic. So we want to go to three sequence. All right, so we got the paragraph down. Now we want to add a button. So because our goal in this project, right, is learn what the HTML are elements are and what an ID attribute is. Um, learn what tags like p, button, and ID mean. Um, so all right, so I will show you guys here with God's help. So this let's put this like this. All right. Um, so we got this box over here. We got our what's it called? Um, what we gotta do over here. It's inside the da, 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 da. Okay. All right. So we got a button. So button. Oops. So this is also changing things on the visual side. Um, so see, once we save it and we press refresh, we get a button. All right, so this is pretty much how to say um this is pretty much this is pretty much it for the episode. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add an ID. ID equals uh paragraph, right? So this is part of the first project, right? It just says to do this goal. What was the goal? To learn what HTML elements are and what the ID attribute is. All right, so what is the ID attribute? So style. All right, so we got a style here. By the way, guys, I don't remember why style is here. So if you know, write it down in the comments. I think you'll put it here. I think it's also in the head tag. I'm not sure exactly. However, the whole point is that this tag, what's it called? It once you add stuff into it, right? You will be able to change stuff in the HTML. So, um, like this is like we said right now. This is kind of setting the invisible side or whatever. But once you add some certain code in here, you're gonna be able to change this ID paragraph here, right? So like I'll show you guys. Um, for example, if you do if you set the ID way the way of accessing the ID is with this with this hashtag. You do hashtag pair paragraph. Maybe this has to be in here. Style pair para. The reason the reason I put it over here so you guys can see at the moment was just to see if it has what's it called, autocomplete. All right, but whatever. All right, anyway, and when you write like this paragraph, um, you do it like this. It's supposed to change the background color, right? We're gonna do blue. So it's supposed to change the background color of this thing. Um, so you see, we're just adding some basic things. Um, uh, project basic. Uh, this is a paragraph. This is a button. So, and the ID is what allows us to actually set it up in a different. There's a different tag over here, different paragraph tag. That once you do it like this, you put it like this. You could change the color. You do all kinds of stuff right here, but you can only do it if you set it this attribute over here called paragraph. So once you set it like this, yeah, it makes things much cooler. You could make things more, whatever you could do. You can do other stuff with the um, you know, 100 px height, 200 px. Um, let's see what it does. Yeah, just changes the background. Um, there's a way you could do font also. Font size, um, larger. Let's see what that does. What's up? This is probably done with like PX probably. No. It's done with this other one. P or it's PT. Yeah, that's the size for it. Certain stuff have certain sizes. Ah, there you go. Height, font width, height. So we're gonna do 400 width. Yeah, there you go. All right. 300. So I want to make it kind of smaller. Maybe 200. Okay, there you go. Height 100. Okay. So, so, all right. So, this is a paragraph. This is a button. So, all right, we were just kind of just making kind of use of why we would even use the ID. It doesn't say anything else to add anything. However, we added the CSS to what's it called? We added the CSS to apply to the paragraph because you know you need it you got to put this to use. Put the ID to use. This is the main use of it. This is the purpose of it. um so all right, we finished our goal. um Baruch Hashem, thank God. um Goal: learn what HTML elements are. The basic HTML elements. We did a button, we did a paragraph, we applied a style to the ID of the paragraph, and that gave us this. We didn't do anything with the button. That's okay. Um, that's gonna be probably, see, next project is gonna be like that. So remember, guys, what we're trying to do is we're trying to run all through all these basic projects. By doing them, we'll understand the second sequence, right? Second sequence is the first project of the second sequence was this code over here. Um, all right. This code over here. Um, I guess we could make it light. All right. This code over here. Um, we want to understand this code over here. This PT. This it gave us a bunch of projects, right? Because once we do all these projects, we'll be able to understand the first project we did to add a box, right? We added the box. We made this box. Why? Because because our goal was to do the first sequence. But when doing all these projects, we'll be able to understand the big project. So just on, hopefully you guys are on the same page. We're trying to just do with God's help, 3 sequenced projects. By doing the projects, we'll be able to understand more. All right, so it's a cool way to learn. So with God's help, we'll get back to you guys in the next episode. Um, where we're gonna do to God's help this project over here. Click to alert. We're gonna try to figure that out. God's help. However, for now, you guys, I wish you good success. Um, you guys should have what you need to succeed. And yeah, uh, see you guys around. All right, peace.